In Tech Matters, category management for laptop and desktop computers. During fiscal year 2014, federal agencies issued 10,000 contracts for those items to the tune of more than $1 billion. Now the Obama administration wants to consolidate those contracts to 3. The goal? Leverage federal buying power. For more, I'm joined by Richard Beutel, founder of Cyrrus Analytics. Rich, before we get to this new policy, take us back in time. How did agencies purchase laptop and desktop computers before large contract vehicles?
Well, it was largely a decentralized process where each agency sought to fulfill its own needs individually and as part of their buying practices went out across the board. And therefore, it was fragmented, and you didn't have the government getting the best prices because the vendor community, being sharp and good businessmen, knew that they could basically play off one agency against the other in a way that caused pricing not to be particularly favorable going forward.
You're exactly right. I remember those days. OMB issued this memo on October 16th. It came from Federal Chief Information Officer Tony Scott and Chief Acquisition Officer Ann Rung. What do they expect from federal agencies?
Well, they expect federal agencies to pool their buying power through the power of strategic sourcing. And this is a core acquisition technique that's been used in the private sector for 25 years, where basically what you want to do is to whittle down to your best and brightest, your top vendors, and provide them with these opportunities. Now, the challenge, though, is to maintain full and open competition, which is the keystone for the federal procurement system, and ensure particularly that small businesses don't get squeezed out as a result.
Now, tell me more. Who in the private sector does this policy benefit, and who does it hurt?
Well, I think the top private sector company in the industry is Dell, who has tremendous innovation around their supply chain management and has for years. Many people used to deride Dell as being the largest white box manufacturer in the industry, but in fact they had tremendous innovation around the way they managed their vendor base and consolidated their buying power.
Now, OMB started working toward this goal months ago. Here's how Mark Rockwell of FCW put it. Last summer, under the Category Management Initiative, 3 leading acquisition vehicles set 5 baseline configurations, 2 for laptops and 3 for desktops, and sent inquiries to vendors that might be interested. Rich, we knew OMB was moving in this direction. That said, did parts of this memo come as a surprise?
Well, not really. Category management reflects many of the best practices that we sought to legislate in the previous versions of FITARA, where we were setting up assisted acquisition centers of excellence that would serve to create these hallways, these category, particularly of commodity IT products. And we were very happy that GSA in particular had embraced this core concept. But again, strategic sourcing has been around, and the original policy initiative is almost 5 years old. But for whatever reason, it hasn't really gotten traction. This is the first hard implementation of it that I've seen, and I really do commend Tony Scott for pushing this forward.
All right, so what's next?
Well, I think what's next, again, is to see if it can be managed properly by GSA, again, to create the pooling of the government's buying power to get better prices for the American taxpayer, while at the same time creating on-ramps and off-ramps for other vendors, particularly small businesses, so that they're not frozen out, and so that the competition and the industrial base provides robust, full and open competition.
I'll be curious to see what happens. Richard Beutel, founder of Cyrrus Analytics. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.